On Tuesday, the 15th of June, 2021, 6 divisional delegates working for the government of Cameroon were kidnapped by self-identified separatist fighters in Meswe Baloue, a locality in Ekondotiti, Ndian division of the southwest region of Cameroon. These delegates were kidnapped by members of the self-acclaimed separatist group who asked for 1 billion CFA francs to release these 6 delegates. And on the 15th of June this same month, we clocked exactly 2 years after these 6 delegates were kidnapped by the self-identified separatist group. And the 6 delegates that were kidnapped on the 15th of June 2021 were the divisional delegate of land tenure, the divisional delegate of housing and urban development, the divisional delegate of water and energy, the divisional delegate of small and medium-sized enterprises, the divisional delegate of planning and regional development, and the chief of survey. Barely 2 days after they were kidnapped, one of the delegates, Mr. Johnson Modika, was killed by his captors who have been asking for 1 billion as a means to tell the government of Cameroon that they mean business kidnapping these 6 delegates. And at this moment, nothing has been said as far as the 5 delegates are concerned. Just 6 months after, or 7 months after the delegates were kidnapped on the 21st of July, on 15th of July 2021, 7 months after, a sacrilege was also committed in the Fon of Bambalang in Gokitunja division, where the Fon of Bambalang, Fon Nsungkikang II, was kidnapped by his own people who have been fighting to protect the culture and tradition of the former West Cameroon, the former Southern Cameroon, who have been fighting to preserve the culture, who claim they are fighting to preserve the culture, went against the culture, kidnapped their own Fon, and he was held hostage close to 1.5 years and only released last week, thanks to the intervention, as we were told, by members of the Rapid Intervention Battalion or Cameroon military who went to his rescue. In all of these, nothing official was said or have been said as far as the kidnapping of these officials were concerned. Let us start with the Ndian case. The Ndian case, since they were kidnapped, we have not gotten update from the government of Cameroon or the spokesperson as far as the situation of the Ndian 5 is concerned, whether the 5 are still alive or they are dead. And as to this moment, we have not been updated. It is a right of every government to update its people as far as its citizens are concerned, not to talk of officials working in that rank or as in that different rank and file. However, a similar situation also was characterized with that of Fon of Bambalang, in which very little was said about his kidnap, for after 1.5 years during the period where he spent in captivity, many did not know as to whether he was alive or dead. In other countries, as we have been witnessing, press conference will be called. Those in charge will update the press as to the situation of the kidnap, as to what government is doing to rescue those kidnapped, and updates will be made about how their family is faring as far as this issue is concerned. But in this case, we're yet to have accountability as far as the situation is concerned. 1.5 years after the kidnap of Fon Yakum, he has been released, and many are asking the question, now the Ndian 5, what is their fate? Are they still alive? Is there hope that they will soon be released, since many separatist fighters are dropping their arms? In the recently concluded Southwest Peace and Development Forum in Boya Mountain Hotel, several separatist fighters dropped their arms in Ndian division, and many eyes are now hoping whether or not these 5 delegates who have not been told, we have not been told whether they are alive or dead, who will be released, or if they are dead, where they were buried, and how they can be given. Their bodies can probably be exhumed and given to their family for official burial. We are hoping and praying that more information will come out as far as this is concerned. In all of these situations, the one question that lingers is the release of Fon Nsungkikang II. Is there hope for the Ndian 5. This is House of Commons with me, Tah Mai Jarvis. A happy Sunday to you, Princess Minette Ofondem in the United States of America. Happy Sunday to all those of you who are watching us on the different platforms across the globe, watching us in US, in Canada, in the UK, and also in Belgium, in the Middle East, in Dubai, watching us in the different parts of the world, and also in Cameroon. Want to say happy Sunday to you, and a very special happy Sunday to bon dimanche à tous les membres de Fraternité Saint James, bon dimanche à tous les membres de Fraternité Saint James, à Paras Bonamoussadi, là je dis Zomo Mata, bon dimanche à toi Lorella Ongene, bon dimanche à toi Mise Bertin, bon dimanche à toi Laetitia, bon dimanche à toi Ingrid, bon dimanche à toi Ndefo et tous les membres du Chorale Negro Spiritual. Bon dimanche à toi, Monsieur Frank Paula, le maestro. Bon dimanche à toi, Père GP. Bon dimanche à toi, Akini Ludovic. Bon dimanche à toi, Antoinella. Bon dimanche à toi, Emily. Bon dimanche à toi, Ellen. Et également, bon dimanche à toi, Benoît, le maestro de Kokoroko. Bon dimanche à toi. Et pour commencer l'émission, je dois faire l'introduction de mes panélistes ici au studio. Je commence avec vous, Dr. Michael Dimancho. Happy Sunday and thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Jarvis. It's a pleasure to be here. Since our topic touches on the fondoms, I would like to extend my pleasant greetings to all the fonds of Noni. They are 10 in number. There are 10 fonds in Noni. The fonds of Call, Lassen, Mbinon, Jotin, Dean, Dom. They are 10 in numbers, and I'm extending a very heartfelt, warm greetings to all of them as they are keeping the village cool and warm at the same time. And I will extend my greetings to all the fervent watchers of House of Commons who are, of course, they are increasing in numbers daily, and we think that we are utterly up to the task, and that is why they watch us.
Thank you very much, and we hope the peace-loving people of Noni have actually gotten your greetings, because you look like you are the traditional Prime Minister of that area.
Of course, Tah Mai Jarvis, and again to greet the Alliance of Noni Village Development Association, which is very, very imposing as far as development is concerned in Noni. And interestingly, I am a Shea Kwifon. Of course, we are the ones who watch traditionally how things are moving. When it comes to discussing issues of the village, at least I'm one among. That is why you see me. You see this cap? This cap is not worn by just by anybody. You see the black and white is worn by those who belong to the Kwifon. So anybody, you don't just anybody just put it. So I'm happy to belong, and I'm happy to be part of that traditional institution that has remained steadfast and has remained the custodian of the tradition of Noni. So I greet all the Sheikhs, because I'm Sheikh Dimancho. Of course, Sheikh Dr. Dimancho, to add that. I'm greeting all the Sheikhs of the Noni land and all the traditional title holders who are keeping the tradition alive. And we hope that we are going to make the difference, because we understand that in other parts, neighboring villages, there has been turbulence, and there has been the storm has been raised in the teacup because the crisis was, but Noni has remained steadfast and true to its goal. And they are wishing, our wish is that our people should grow up in harmony, in peace, in prosperity, in fertility, and that we should grow from strength to strength. And I'm wishing all those who have cultivated in Noni great harvest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Also in the studio, we have Mr. Kimbang Vitalis. Mr. Kimbang, thank you for joining us, and a special happy Sunday to you. We are aware that you are just coming from the grass field that in the northwest region of Cameroon.
Thank you very much, Jarvis. Thank you to all the viewers. It's true, I'm just coming from the northwest, where the northwest is the hardest region where we have the crisis. And I would also like to extend my greetings to the we should continue to love peace, we should continue to love this country, and this country should move forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akeba. I want to appreciate all those of you who have been joining us on today's edition of our program. We appreciate and we hope that you will stay connected on today's edition of our program, where we are going to have an in-depth discussion as to the situation which is playing in the northwest region and the southwest of our nation. Dr. Michael Dimanjo, on the 15th of June 2021, 6th Divisional Bambalang in Gokitunda Division by its own people. And when you look at all this scenario, 1 year after, 1.5 years after, Fon is out. And now the Ndian 5, we still don't know whether they are alive or dead. Is there hope at the end of the horizon? Looking at the duration spent by the Fon, can we still say that there's hope that maybe the 5 are still alive of the Ndian?
Well, Jarvis, I would think that there's a reason why they kidnap in war situation. There are two reasons why they kidnap, be they terrorists or whatever you want to call them. There's a reason why they kidnap. The first reason is economical. People kidnap because they want ransom to be paid. That is the first reason that you think that there's a kidnap. Now, the second reason why people kidnap is that they want to show might, you know, that they are above the opponent. And usually there is a lot of jubilation when you kidnap somebody from the opposite camp. And talking about the opposite camp, in this situation, we are talking about the Republic of Cameroon against the separatists. And when the separatists, they kidnapped the 6 Ndian workers, it was like they were happy that they have broken one part of the Republic of Cameroon by taking part of their workers. And you know, in this situation, what is it? They are like singing the song and telling the opponents, this is what we have. If you want to have your people back, we need to have an exchange of something, be it money or be it the power or whatever they're asking for. These are the two reasons. Economic reason, and you see that for other issues, you see there are some other people that they kidnap that they have no link with the opponents, but they are kidnapping them for ransom, for money. So we have many of them. We have a lot of people who have been kidnapped. We have Ndian who was kidnapped. We have the Fon of who was kidnapped. We have Christian was kidnapped. We have 5 priests from the mountain who were kidnapped. In this case, they are not battling with any other person, but here it's economical. But when you have a person like the Dio of Batbo that was kidnapped, and who was kidnapped and later on killed, it's because the ransom was not paid on time. So we have now the Fon of Yakum Kevin of Bambalang, who was kidnapped, though a Fon, but had link with
was the president
of the Northwest, of course. So getting from Yakum, they knew that they have gotten the Baobab of the funds in the Northwest who have the links with the government in Yaoundé. So but then they touch a different ground, because a fund in the Northwest carries much more of metaphysical powers than what they think. The fund is much more than, I don't even want us to compare the fund with the 5 or the 6 Indian kidnapped, because it's no match. The fund
no, I see it's not much.
No, let me say, I want to explain. They are all human beings, but I want to get into a different stadium so that you understand what I mean. They are all human beings, that is true. You know what? Let me say, for example, that your father is kidnapped is more of a concern to you than your neighbor. That's proximity. Yes, that's what I want to say. It doesn't mean that the phone is, of course, in terms of power and in terms of representation, the phone is more than any other person. And let me tell you why. The phone represents a whole community. It's a village. That is why in the village, we do not talk about he in reference to a phone. We talk about they. Meaning now you represent a phone by the people. Once a phone is kidnapped, it's a whole village.
That is kidnapped. But I want us to go constitutionally. If we look at the constitution of Cameroon, it stated that no Cameroonian is more or less of importance than any Cameroonian. So what you say is more or important.
Yes.
Are we not going against the constitution?
That is very true. We are talking about the political constitution. I'm talking about the traditional representation of it all.
Yes.
Because those are two different things.
Okay.
And if you want to talk about the ancient of it all, is the tradition.
Of course, tradition comes before
the government. Grow up to know my traditional rights and my traditional responsibility and my traditional forbearance before I knew about what the government was talking about. And let us understand the point. A phone kidnapped is the obligation of every villager either to contribute to pay for ransom or to search for the phone. But someone who is working for the government, for example, we depend on the government, on its mercy, on its mechanism, and some people say the government mechanism is usually very slow. In that case, you cannot compare. Secondly, I would like to talk about the power that the phone holds. In most villages in the Northwest region, the phone is referred to as a lion. There's even a metaphor which refers to the phone as the lion rock. Means that what? You cannot kill a phone. You cannot. You resist. You cannot kill it. And even attempts to kidnap the Northwest region, those have had very, very natural deaths. And that is why I told people when from Kevin Yakum was kidnapped, I said those guys, they wanted to take the phone to give them protection. Because the phone being in the camp was protecting them. Instead of protecting the phone, they knew that the phone with them, they were going to have all that metaphysical power to guide and protect them. I'm talking from the traditional point of view. From the traditional point of view. Well, the phone, look at the who, and you want us to get into the politics of the phone killing who, and those who are the grazers of the tea and whatsoever. I don't want to get that.
The phone of Israel was killed.
Don't mind. And that is why when I learned the phone survived, I said, this is a phone who was chosen and appointed by the gods. There are phones who get onto power unhoolily.
Okay, we'll be coming to that.
Well, of course, I want to say all this thing clear as a traditionalist, because I say without any fear of contradiction, because I know how those things are done.
So if I get you correctly, Dr. Michael, so that I can get to Mr. Vitalis, is that phones who are kidnapped and who probably are killed, there's a consequence.
There is.
And so phones who are kidnapped and are not killed, it means it's a test that they were actually picked by the gods and not by the
They are the Solomons of their tribes. And let me just say one thing about the six, because it's not good to talk about the phones and ignore the six who are now the five. Now the issue is that, in the world of legitimacy, there is always this issue, and we have gotten that with the separatists. When they commit an act, they also want to show proof of it. They want to sing it to the who where this has happened. I want to express a lot of hope to say that it is just a matter of time that the families of these people and the government at large has not been able to meet up with the demands of these people to be released. I want to express the hope here live that the five are still alive, and that it's just a matter of time, and that negotiation should actually advance for them to be released. When the one was killed, all of us, we knew that it was killed. There was no hidden thing about it. And the modus operandi of these guys is that when they commit an act, foolish as they are, they want to first of all just immediately show that they have done this.
Okay.
Here we are. We did. This is what happens. And if we are not had this from the Ndian 5, we have hopes that the Ndian 5 are still alive, and therefore negotiations will advance.
That means they are shake on the bee.
Well, of course. It should.
Okay. Because we were told that shake no day.
Shake no day.
And now we are seeing that shake no day.
Well, of course, shake no day.
Well, you were in the northwest region of Risen, Mr. Kimbang. We have just been joined by Prince Kotem. We'll be getting to Prince. Mr. Kimbang, looking at this situation, is there hope for the Ndian 5?
First of all, let me start with the Fon I was in the Northwest when the news broke that he was released. You know, the fact is very clear. We still have people who sympathize with the separatists. Because when I moved in the Northwest, I moved like a fool, but I pick what people see. Because some people were actually very happy that the was released, and some people are not happy because the daughter went to military, that the military went and rescued him. And that is why immediately he was released.
Released or rescued?
I don't know.
We are going by official.
Because immediately he was rescued or released, there was an audio that started circulating where the boys are discussing.
Yeah, somebody sent the audio to me.
Where they have already allowed the fun, and the fun was moving freely in the village, and so on and so on. So we cannot say that it is fake or right. That is the truth, because in what is transpiring, you know that this war in the Northwest, it is a very, I always call it a dirty war, because you don't know what is happening in the field, either with the military or with the separatists. Yes, because there are times somebody is telling me that, although I have not dared to travel to places like Kumbu, somebody is telling me that when we reach here, there is a checkpoint for the military, and in front there is a checkpoint for the separatists. My question is, why can they not go and attack the separatists who are standing in front? Then it's as if the other day I was listening. I was listening to was it? Yes, I was listening to the Dio of Ndop, when one guy from my village was killed, who was transporting medals to Babisi. The phone say, why can't you people, you know where their camps are? Why can't you not move to their camps? My question was, if they don't know that this is where their camps are found, why can he not send his military to go and attack their camps?
Yeah, because he's the representative of the head of state in that area.
So when you look at this issue of the separatists and the military, I seems not to understand what is really happening. Because as a layperson, you know, this is a war that those who are suffering are us, the lay people. The separatists are there, they are playing their games with the military, and some of the military, they are taking advantage of this war to make a lot of money. And truly, when you look at it, what is happening? It's as if some people don't like that this war should come to an end, because it has given the military a leeway to harass anybody on the street at any time and extort money from the person. It has given the thieves, some of these thieves, the leeway to come to your house and say they are separatists, kidnap you and take money. So we are living in the very precarious times in the Northwest and the Southwest. Then coming to the Ndian 5. Let me not dash the hopes of the of the families of those people, but truly I doubt whether they are still alive, because when Fon Yakum was in captivity, there was a time that we saw a video where they brought him out, and he made a video pleading with the government to intervene and dialogue with the separatists so that he could be released. But since the Ndian 5 were kidnapped, I don't think we have heard anything from any of them. It has been silent. So I fear, and I don't think, and I'm not saying that there's no hope, but I fear that they might not still be alive. But now, even if they are alive, the type of condition that these guys live in, where they are living, I don't think that many of them will survive that condition. Even if they don't kill them by gun. I ask myself, if they are sick, where do they go to? Because it's difficult for somebody to be
June 15 this month will be 2 years.
2 years. I don't think it's difficult for somebody to be 2 years without a place. At least one malice or other. Where do they put them? And what kind of food are they giving them? Where do they sleep? And all those things. And even the psychological trauma, and some of them bear it through these 2 years. You know, the treatment to fun is quite different from the treatment we give to another citizen, like Dr. was saying. Because with the fun, first of all, they have fears. You know that this is somebody that represents the village.
So you agree with Doctor there?
I agree with him, because the fund is the almighty in the village. But some people like delegates, they know, no, these are government workers, so they can do anything to them. But you can kill a government and go free. They cannot kill a fund and go free.
How?
No, the fund is embedded with traditional rights. So much such that if you kill a fund, and that because from stories I got from those in Seoul is that anybody who participated in kidnapping the fund on Seoul, all of them have gone. All of them. So you touch the fund on Seoul with their hand, all of them have gone. So that fear will be in them. But normal citizens, it is very difficult for them to do away with you, bury you, and people forget about you. Even when I talk about the Dio Obatibo, I don't think that when the Dio Obatibo, he got missing. We did not hear that whether he was killed or not. We know that
there was a communique
from the separatists.
Minister of the
but that's the first time we have had communique.
Yes. Did we see his body, or do we know that this is where he was?
And incidentally or coincidentally, the killers is happened to have been one of those who dropped the arms in the DZR center, and yet they have not told us the same killer who have dropped alleged killers who have dropped their arms probably have not told us where even he was buried. He was buried.
Well, normally to not sure that this is where he was buried. So we are even if the government, there was a communique. It was during that time when the crisis was very at its peak, and anybody that was kidnapped during that time was just like it's the mercy of God. But I want to say that all in all, when I moved in the Northwest, my problem is, what can I tell this government? Because this crisis, the way it is going, what suggestions can I give to this government so much so that this crisis can come to an end? First, I always say that most of the military guys, the young guys who have been sent on the fields, particularly the police, the way they harass little boys on the street in Boya, in Bamida, and all the rest, they are the people who fuel this crisis. Because when you make a young man to know that I cannot enjoy my country, I live in this country as if I'm a stranger, you are making him to believe that he should resist. Yesterday I watched a video in Boya where a boy went out through death, and the police held him that he should say, bring his ID card. He said, this is my house, let me move to my house and get my ID card. They harass him, they almost strip him naked. These are the type of action that make people to believe that they have that mind that the government is not protecting us. Whereas the government is doing its best to make sure that we live in a peaceful and enjoyable country. But some individuals have taken it upon themselves that this is a way of making money. And there's even this common parlance where they say, if you are a military and a policeman and you are sent to Bamenda Omboya and you don't construct a house, you don't buy a car, that means that you will never do it. That is a very wrong conception that some of these youth they have. I think that as people that love this country, we should look at ways to build this country. We should not present the country as this country is the worst of countries in the world. As a young man who loves this country, if you are sent anywhere and you are dealing with people, please treat them like your brothers and sisters. Treat them like people that you will meet them tomorrow. Don't behave as if you are a god. You are a servant. You have to save them. You have to listen to them. Not that you come to extort them. So I want to believe that the Indian 5, let's just hope that they are still alive, but I doubt.
We'll be coming back to you. If the Fon of Bambalang had such spiritual and metaphysical powers as your guest claim, why did he have to stay in captivity for such a long time before subsequently being released by the military? Why couldn't he use some of his mystical powers to overpower his captors? The government should stop making up stories and tell the truth as it is that they paid ransom to release the chief. This is coming from an anonymous sender. Good afternoon, Mr. Jarvis and the School of Thought. It is not easy to trace whereabouts of the 5 delegates in Ndian, almost 2 years in captivity. The government has totally failed to get these delegates out of the jungle. Even the amount of money which the separatists demanded from the government, Jarvis, far away from 2016, 11 Chinese nationals were kidnapped by Boko Haram just because of foreigners in our soil. The government raised a heavy sum of money. Definitely they were liberated. For our own sake, the government put a deaf ear to pay ransom so that our brothers can be released. This is coming from an anonymous sender. Litute Joseph watching from live from Bukova Boya. Litute, happy Sunday to you. Mola, happy Sunday to you. This other one is coming from Edwin from Fumbot. Say the Fon of Bambalang regain freedom, and even the Jan 5. All those are consequences. Let's tackle the root causes of the problem instead of chasing the consequences. This is your message is gotten. And this other one, right? It says this one, right? It says happy Sunday to you guys in the studio. Nice program. Ibazobe writing for Bamenda, good morning crew on duty. There is still very big hope for the Jan 5 during crisis period like the one currently going on in Anglophone Cameroon. There are several secret prisons within Cameroon and Nigeria. The fact that their bodies have not been implies there is still hope. We consider that they are still disappeared. The government should mediate very well, and the 5 in Jan could still be one day release. It's coming from Bazogo in Bamenda. This one, right? Good day, Jarvis, and good program, but you always invite only those who speak your mind when it concerns sensitive topics, thereby always making your outing unbalanced. Traditional rulers are supposed to be non-political, but because of hunger and politics of the stomach manifested by these so-called rulers, we are where we are today. Ngole from Yaoundé. Okay, Ngole, I want to specially invite you for the program next week Sunday. In fact, write me, I'll put you into the House of Commons team. Whenever I have a program, I put it there in the group, and members indicate whether they want to participate based on what they feel is convenient for them. Nowhere, no how do I censor or tell people what to say and what not to say and when to say it. You are free as long as you take responsibility after your speech.
I wanted to say something. I want to react to what truly what he's saying about the Fons joining politics is very, very true. And so it has made the Fon to lose a lot of respect, because once you are a member of the opposition and the Fon is a member of government, you don't feel secure in the village. You feel as if the Fon cannot judge any complaint justly because you are a member of the opposition. So I want to plead that Fon should be neutral.
Okay.
Yes, if they are neutral, we will not have all these problems that we have. Because the fund belongs to everybody. And once the fund identifies himself as member of this party or that party, it's already creating a division in the village. And that's why you see that most of the funds are not, as Matthew was saying, most of the funds, they don't more respect them people don't more respect them as before.
We'll be coming on that. Here in the studio, we have Prince Kotem, who is also a warrior from the side of Bambalang. Balikumbat in the Fondo Gogwines lineage. He's here with us. Prince, I'm sure you have attended several of our programs where we have been asking issues. Where is the Fon of Bambalang? We have been on this matter quite a very long time. Keep on asking questions, and I'm happy you are here for this edition to talk about the release. And so far, my Media Prime House of Commons has been on this issue asking, where is the Fon of Bambalang? We are happy that it has been released, and the question now is the Jan 5. Is this hope for the Jan 5?
Thank you very much, Mr. Tah Mai, for having me, and good afternoon to the fellow panelists, particularly Dr. Dimancho, a very big brother to me, and good afternoon to the million televiewers of my Media Prime. It is always an honor for me to be on this platform so that we can share and look forward for solutions to issues that are affecting our country, because it's an obligation for us to put hands together in order to ensure nation building as well as the security of the citizens as a whole. Mr. Tah Mai, you know, it's been 2 years and plus that we've been talking about the Ndian 5 delegates. It's been a year and plus we've been asking the whereabouts and seeking the release of the Fon of Bambalang, just like other casualties that have been an effect of this crisis that we have been witnessing since 2016. And today we're very much happy to know that the Fon of Bambalang has been released, and I say Mbe. And just like Senator Mundi was released, he too has gained freedom. Rescued as per the official communique of the government. We're really happy for that. But you know, this crisis has gone a long way, that we've seen so many of these dramas that have been playing, and we keep asking the questions. There are so many words that have been employed in order to, maybe I don't want to say resolve, but in order to justify some positions where you use words like rescue, let go, freedom, and the likes. But what is most touching is the fact that you know, I always like to refer back to the 1977 law organizing chiefdoms and traditional chiefdoms in Cameroon, which actually put in place, in particular of the chiefs, that they are supposed to be auxiliary to the administration. But today we realize that most of the chiefs have become part of the administration itself. And this has put them in a very worrying situation and position, because they no longer have the trust that the population used to have for them. We know, particularly in the northwest region or the west, the Gang West, we have, or the grassland, if you have to put it that way, traditional chiefdoms are entities, institutions that are highly respected by the population, and they, as per their origin and the history, they were not, as per what they are today, mingling with the affairs of the state and of the government. But today it has become a different thing. Wherefore we saw some people, as sacred as the traditional chiefdom of Nso is, some people still had the courage to take the Fon hostage, and you can understand the level at which the crisis has moved through. And if we have to get to a point where this thing has to stop, then we have to tackle the root causes of this problem. And the root causes are still very clear out there, which sometimes we have window dressing solutions that have been put in place. But if we really have to get to find a solution to get to an end of this thing, then we need to tackle the root causes. Going to the Ndian 5 delegates, you know, soon will be 2 years, and we've always been asking the question, where are they? What are the measures that have been put in place? It's true that the government has actually laid down so many measures, and they will still argue with you today the measures that have been put in place in order to ensure their safety and their security. But the question is, where are they till now? Because they have families, they come from particular localities. These people are worried. Just like one guy from my village who used to work at Malende, he just went missing like that, and after some time it was realized that he was buried alive in Malende, because they said
Malende in
the southwest region.
That should be in Meme division.
I think so.
No, it should be between Meme and Fako, because
yeah,
it shares
Meme. That's
Malende
after Moyoka.
After Moyoka is Malende. Yeah, it should be in Fako division.
Yeah, and
buried alive.
Well, yes, and when I tried to dig out we find out that he was buried alive because he was termed to be a black leg. That he gave information to the military and so on and so forth. So we have to get to the root causes in order to solve this problem. For the Meme 5, for the Ndian 5, the only hope I have for them now is to believe that maybe they must have escaped and maybe seeking refuge in a neighboring country, maybe Nigeria or somewhere like that. Because you realize that with situations like this, there are instances where people can easily negotiate their outing. And remember, they were picked up where they went for a consultative meeting, or how do we put it, a field work, and they will actually pick up what was the reason for their field work. What was you know, we're talking about Ndian. Ndian is an area where it's very lucrative, an oil zone, and if they went for a field work, what were the contours that circulate around this field work that they actually went for? And when they were picked up, what are the things that were at stake? So 2 years running now, they have not been found. I really want to believe, that's my hope, that maybe they must have escaped. But if they are not, then we should really be very, very worried, as we have been, as to the security. And this pushed me to ask further questions. You know, we have a very I don't know how other people see it, but the way I see it, we have a very hard-working Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Atanganji, who actually masters the territorial circumference of the country, and is somebody who has been praised often of his very STEM actions towards the security of the country. And I really want to beg on the minister again to look on this issue and put more resources in place in order to look at this this Jan 5, because we and like so many Cameroonians, myself, will believe that you are one of those ministers that have been doing a lot, and you have those powers and you have the capability to get them out. So we think that if they are still alive, then something should be done. No citizen is above another. If Senator Regina Mundi was rescued, as they put it, if the Fon of Bambalang was rescued, the Fon of Saw and many others have been rescued, I think that these authorities too also deserve to be rescued, especially for the fact that they are not ordinary citizens, they are also members of the government, and they were on duty. So it is very, very disturbing to understand that they are still under captivity. However, we should not just keep talking and asking questions, but we need solutions. And like so many people have always proposed about the solutions to these problems, we have to go back, we have to sit again on the round table to look into this problem. And people who have to constitute those that have to sit on the round table must be pre-selected beforehand, before they take this responsibility, because it's a huge responsibility that we have. It will take us 1,000 miles to get out of this, and to get that 1,000 miles, we need to be very careful the way we trek, because if not, so we might be turning around the same circle and be taking doing the same window dressing solutions, which will lead us nowhere. And in this process, I want to say it again, young people must be highly involved. It is true that most young people like myself have been taking initiatives out there in order to enter into community dialogue with either former problems in the Northwest, this problem tackling the Anglophone crisis as it has been since 2016. Young people must get in the root, because look at what happened. I think I don't know the name that they call him, Rambo or whatever, which is the junior brother to General Nobisi. Yes, who after some few days that he actually gave himself up to the DZRO, that he has actually put it, he has left the bush, and he's out now. He wants to be a good citizen, and he wants to be reintegrated. We saw the rescue of the Fon of Bambalang. So I think that young people, is a very young man, and it is nearly, if not all, most of these people that are carrying out this act in the name of separatists are young people. They are young people, youths. So we understand that youths are at the center of the crisis. So if we need solutions, youths must be highly represented.
Okay.
Unlike the 2019 Major National Dialogue, which we had with some people who barely have idea as to what is going on in the field, some people who came from abroad that has nothing to do. So it is imperative. It is imperative with the youth, and we have to go down to start at the level of the councils, of the level of the villages. We don't need a dialogue that we have to sit at the conference center in Yaoundé. We need a dialogue that will start with the local communities, and we end up, and if possible, we end up in Yaoundé. But it must start in the villages. That's where we have to start from the grassroots and go up, and not up and come down.
Well, I want just a yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that when you look at the readjustment of the 2023 budget, state budget, you realize that I think if not 29 billion has been allocated for the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest region as a budget for its running. I think that this, and if you look at the plan of the Reconstruction Commission, it has as one of its phases inter-community dialogue, going down to the villages in order to achieve a solution, as they want to say, lasting solution.
We'll be coming back to you.
So yeah, when we come back, I think we'll continue with that. But it's very important.
Before I get to Dr. Michael Dimancho, I want to get a response from you. This one, I need just a yes or a no. You said as Senator Mundi was rescued as we were told. Are you by any chance doubting the fact that she was actually rescued? Yes or no?
As we were told,
yes
and as
no, yes
no, as we were
told
by the newspapers.
Yes, as you were told. As you were told. The phrase there is as you were told.
Yes.
Are you by chance having a doubt in the process?
Mr. Tah Mai, I don't have a doubt in the process. What I'm
asking a yes.
I don't have a doubt in the process.
So no, you don't have a doubt in the process.
That's what the government was, and it's government is telling us.
So are you having a doubt in what the government told you?
Mr. Tah Mai, I'm taking what the government told us. We are under the auspices of the government. I don't live in a civil society.
I could, as Senator Mundi were released as we were told, and I'm asking yes or no that I'm doubting. Because you the phrase as we were told.
By who is supposed to tell us?
So therefore it means, are you by chance doubting? Yes or no? Dr. Michael, but how is it that the president of the Northwest House of Chiefs will be kidnapped, the Ndian 5 will be kidnapped? Let me start with the Ndian 5. The Ndian 6 and now 5 will be kidnapped, and we are not having maybe an accountability from taxpayers like yourself. You are a pedagogue. You run a civil society organization, the New Era Youth for Africa. And when you move across African continent or look at the context in terms of leadership, is there no need for accountability, like a press conference, for people to be updated as to what happens and what did not happen? First. Then the second part of my question is, the Northwest House of Chiefs, how did they tackle the kidnapping of their president? Because we never saw a series of outing or press conference about that their president had been kidnapped, as we will see in traditional countries, and even in countries that don't practice democracy. We see this press conference will be given and the people will be updated. What is wrong? Is it that we are shying away from our responsibility?
Tah Mai Jarvis,
communication in war situation is not the same as communication in village development associations. We have to take that seriously. In war situation, you don't just make any communication at will because you want to inform. There is strategic way of doing communication in war situations. Meaning that what? You will not hear the government saying that a general was kidnapped. No. In most cases, that is not done, because we understand that when you do that, you are giving an advantage to the opponent. That communication is done, but it is done internally within the insiders of the war. So what the citizens expect that the government communicates on everything, I do not share that view. Well, it is true that our government has always been on the defensive instead of on the offensive. I know they are taking from there that in most cases, even out of war, our government does not communicate. Well, they communicate, but not fully as we expect. But I think that there is what we call strategic communication. You don't do a communication to kill the morale of the soldiers fighting. No. Because there are certain communication you do to kill the morale. And there are certain communication you do to give credibility to the opponent. So the best way in some of that kind of communication is to stay mute. Stay mute doesn't mean that you don't make a release on the fact that that has been done. Those who are supposed to know about what has happened should know, and I'm sure they always know. If you find out from the families of those kidnapped, the Ndian 5 or the Ndian 6 as they were, you will understand that the families, the government has approached them to say that they are working on it and that they are in communication with the government. But saying it as a public communique to say that 6 delegates have been kidnapped by the separatist fighters and we are no, sometimes there's some communication that can shock people when you do it publicly. Now coming to the issue of the Fon Yakum Kevin of Bambalang, I earlier told you there is no issue saying that the other funds did not come out. The Fons, they work metaphysically. The Fons do not need. In my village in Noni, the Fon does not make a speech. Someone else translates the speech of the Fon. Meaning that what? The Fons work during the darkest part of the night. They do not work in the day. Somebody asked me, I asked someone a question whether he knows when the Fon sleeps. You do not know when the Fon sleeps, because we understand that the Fon is always awake. And that is why I started here my discourse by saying that we do not refer to the Fon as he. We refer to the Fon as they. You don't call the Fon, you don't personify the Fon. The Fon is referred to as the whole village. Meaning that what? When you touch the Fon, you are touching the village. And therefore, the Fons of the Northwest, they understand their role to play. It is no need for them coming on a public space to make a speech to say, we want to make public the fact that one of ours from Yakum Kevin of Bambalang was kidnapped. The Fons don't need to do that. There is a listener who sent a message and said, if I think that the Fon has that metaphysical power, why did he stay for more than a year in captivity? I just want people to understand that staying a year in captivity is because you are counting time. The Fon doesn't count time. It is like the Bible, which says, for a year, for the Lord, 1,000 years is like a day, come and gone. That is the way the Fons they work. Now, let me put that our listener to task. When from Yakum Kevin came out, have you heard of any medical examination since he came out? When he came out, immediately, some few hours after, he was making an announcement, a public speech with the governor of the Northwest region. And that speech that he made was, he said, the first thing he said, I am thanking the head of state. That is also remarkable. Who is the head of state to him? I don't want to look at the head of state now, though some people look at it politically. The head of state is that Fon of Fons of the Northwest. And he's thanking him for that night stay, that wake that they kept in searching for him, in keeping him safe, in keeping him alive, and keeping him healthy. Look at when that man came out. Some people were asking whether this man was really in captivity, looking so healthy and good, more than some of us who were out of captivity, more than some of us who were not kidnapped, more than some of us who came that we are living a good life, looking so good and healthy. The voice, I mean, fine, everything okay. And nothing like medical checkup as it happened with other people. Mundi did it and all the other people immediately came out. But he came out, the first thing that came out was the public conference.
So, Michael, let me do a quick follow-up what you just said. You raised an issue that you raised an issue, doctor, that in a war situation we don't communicate by parasal. But the government of Cameroon and some ministers state that we are not at war. This has been caught on tape and it's on record that Cameroon is not at war. Therefore, does that not defeat what you just said, that in a war situation we don't communicate anyhow? Second, the 14th February massacre in the northwest region of Cameroon, that was in Gabu massacre. We saw communique that the government released as far as that is concerned. Secondly, the Kuma massacre, we saw communique the government released. The killing of some chiefs in the southwest region, with kidnapping of some chiefs in the southwest region, we saw a communique that was sent out by the government of Cameroon. And also, let me come down to what happened also in the issue of the kidnapping of some students. The government has released communique as far as that is concerned. Does that not defeat what you just said as far as this is concerned? Based in my mind first on the issue of the situation, you said we are in a war situation, we don't communicate by parasal. Maybe let me just give you barrage of my follow-up. You may react to that if you want to. And also coming to the aspect of the president of the Northwest House of Chiefs. First of all, he is the Fon, granted, but he's also the president of the entire Northwest House of Chiefs. And so therefore, the people demand accountability as to what, as to why he was there. Then lastly, to my question to you is that, what if this information is already on a public space that he has been kidnapped? People know that he has been kidnapped. Videos already suppresses or come out from the. It's already in public knowledge that this person has been kidnapped. Why should we still hide that the fact and not update the public as to the situation and what government is doing to ensure that this situation is contained?
I want to talk about the traditional politics. You quoted a number of kidnaps in Gabu, the chiefs in the Southwest region, the Kumba massacre, and all of you did that. And all of that, after quoting that, you stated the fact that the government made a communique on all of those. And when I started my discourse, I said I was talking about the Norwest tradition and the funds of the Norwest. Very metaphysical funds. And that is why the government didn't make any communication, because they knew that that fund would be released.
Doctor, let me just...
I'm coming.
Briefly,
So, I mean, the government, and you also said, I said it is a war situation, and the government said it's no war.
Yes, we have.
On what basis was the government making communiques? I think that I don't want to. I mean,
that we are not war.
I don't want to fault the government. I don't want to fault the government because the government failed in one way or the other. But I don't want to fault the government. They knew the game they were playing, and they have known the game, and they have understood that that game has not paid off. Well, it now comes for us to define what we mean by war, perhaps in the sense of the government. That is what they want us to know, that there is what they call, some people kept on saying, it's just some little skirmishes, it's just a little crisis. But in effect, deploying war cans and war vehicles and war stuff to the Northwest and Southwest region, we are seeing. They were not doing much of it. So I'm faulting the government to say it was no war situation. It is a war situation that we are having in the Northwest and Southwest region.
So, Doctor, are you saying the government is lying?
Of course, the government lied, and the government has realized that it is lying. Why? Because you will not say it's no war, and you are sending heavy equipment of war that were only sent to Afghanistan and Ukraine to the Northwest and Southwest region. We are sending to go and kill who? Snakes, mosquitoes, rats, or people.
Maybe we are just displaying them to show you.
They were displaying on 20th May. We saw them on 20th May, and that's where we wanted to see them. So I'm faulting the government that they said something else and they were reacting differently. And they gave us the conclusion, or they gave us the mind, they conclude that actually they are telling us a lie. That's what you want to hear, right? That the government lied. It lied because they portrayed something different. We were in a war situation. We have had the war. If you look at how many people have died in the Northwest and Southwest region. Are we minimizing that?
Okay.
Can that only be happen? Was it a natural disaster that happened in the Northwest and Southwest region where people died?
Okay.
No. So to tell you that the communiques that they made for the other people because they saw that the other people were helpless, and I'm insisting on the fact as a traditionalist that we of the Northwest region will live metaphysically, especially the funds, and that's where the government was not even competent to issue a communique about the Fon of Bambalang because they knew he would be saved. Nobody could kill them. Of course, the person who kidnapped him, where is him today? No pity kidnapped him. I'm not informing you, you know. Where is no pity? He died. And secondly, the brother who took over, Shina Rambo made a statement before he dropped his gun. He said, I quote, "I have realized that in this war, each one is fighting for himself. And I know that I'm going to die, but before I'll die, I'll put down 3 people before I die." Now, look at the game in it. Shina Rambo drops the gun, and in 2 days, the phone is released.
No, the phone is released or rescued?
Oh, okay. The phone is released.
Released?
Did you hear about it? Now, let us not confirm. You want to tease me, but I'm going to be frank. Did you hear about any military confrontation with anybody before he was rescued? Let me use your word.
Yeah, you just said in a war situation, don't communicate parasite. Maybe the government is assuming that since we are in a war situation, there's no need to communicate.
Usually, it's because when the government kills the separatists, they brandish it. Am I informing you? No. That's what usually happens. I want to hear them brandish how many separatists they killed in the operation of the release of the Fon of Bambalang. Tell me. And then they'll come back and take them to task. We even talked about people like, you don't hear from me, that even Mundi was not rescued. Mundi was released. Did you hear about any confrontation? Because usually we hear, even when the government doesn't communicate, then Ndian's 5, the government doesn't communicate. Is it the government that told you? Usually we know that this is what happens. That when people are killed, so on the Northern and Southwest region, we know. The government doesn't tell us.
I come to Mr. Kimba. So you are saying that in this case of the Ndian 5, and that is not released, is not rescued, released.
Ndian 5 are not released.
I'm talking about the Bambalang.
The Bambalang phone was released
and not rescued. So you are saying the government is
lying. If
lying.
I say it is this, means it's not the order.
So again, you are saying the government is lying.
Are you saying to them lying? I am saying that he was released.
We don't have evidence to back up what you are saying. We have evidence to back up what the government is saying by the communique.
Well, of course, you have the right to believe the government as you do, but I have the right to also give the information that I have.
We come back to you.
Because very soon, I hope that in your next program, you say, as you are backing the government and what they say, you say how the confrontation took place.
You just said in the worst situation, don't communicate by paraza.
Oh, of course.
But maybe the government too doesn't want to communicate by paraza as to the number of people that were killed.
And you as a journalist, I know you are an investigative journalist, you have just believed blatantly and ignorantly that that's what happened because the government said so.
No, you just said, I'm going by official information.
Good. You are going by official information, and I'm going by a scientific analysis that in a war zone, you don't talk about release or you don't talk about rescue when we don't hear any confrontation. You should be able to tell us exactly how it happened and how many people you harvested, how many guns and explosives you took from there. That is what the government has been doing throughout the war, right? During the communication.
Maybe they went there and the separatists ran away, and so
they ran away. They didn't carry any bullets or any explosive. Thank you very much.
Happy Sunday, Mr. Jarvis. I believe this issue of the fund is their involvement into politics. Most of them have sold their spiritual powers for sardines. Romo holds that he was an errand boy and cooked in their camp. If he had any powers, he would have saved himself rather than being under such circumstance, making videos begging for help. As your guests say, the fund can't come on air and clear the air about their colleagues, but they can make speeches thanking the head of state. Let traditional leaders stay out of politics. James writing from Boya. This other one right, he says, Mr. Tah Mai, the fund made a speech and he appreciated only the government and the military forces, which wasn't wise enough on him as fund. Please tell your panelists to speak out the truth and not anger the people of the northwest and southwest region. This is coming from Vice Principal in Yaoundé. This one right, it says, happy Sunday, Mr. This one right, happy Sunday, nice program, thank you very much. So, greetings to you, Jarvis. Please, is it better and cheaper for the government to solve this problem or to keep on sponsoring and sustaining this war indirectly through the payment of ransom? What is clear is that the rate of Kenyan people will keep rising. Government should have a foresight. We do not know the kind of weapons separatists will acquire in the short term. We do not know what the kind of weapons that the separatists will acquire in the future. We do not know when they where the next rebels will surface. It is not about the it is not about time the government is it not about time the government think differently. No, thank you very much. No, this other one right, it says good afternoon. It is not appropriate for an educative to claim that citizens are more important than others. Thank you very much. Your message is gotten. This other one right is those of you who are writing us from the please don't be insultive, make your comment known, don't be insultive. Jarvis, you are talking about the 5 delegates. What about the DO of Batibo? This is Lawrence writing from Bamenda. Lawrence, that was already established by the government in itself about that case. Good afternoon, Jarvis. All in the studio. To me, I say that the release of the Fon of Bambalang is an eye-opener. The release of the Fon of Bambalang is an eye-opener to the Anglophone community that they should take their responsibility at their own hand. They should never rely on the government of this country. How can you imagine that a fund is not only a fund, but the president of the Fon of Fund in the Northwest kidnapped for close to 2 years and nothing was being done until it was only when Shinorambo gave up before he was released, and the government does not know the circumstances surrounding his releasement. Thanking the head of state by the fund is not that he's happy with the situation, but he was trying to say that he has gone and see the government and has abandoned him. This one right says good afternoon. That man is talking Thank you very much, Abubakar. It's all right. It says some of our Fon's leaders are even looking for a way to kill their villagers by enslaving them. We the youth of this nation, but nothing is working. There's people are wicked. Let me remind you that if air flight open to Cameroonians who want to go out of the country, every single Cameroonian will leave this country. Please focus on building back our conference. You agree with him about the suspicious silence of the government and about the Ndian 5 and the Fon of Bambalang?
First of all, I want to disagree with Doctor when he said the Northwest Funds only work metaphysically and they don't say out the action, what they intend to do. I quite remember that.
No, you are getting me wrongly.
Yeah, I don't know. So a few months
the funds are responsible to their villagers, and they say their villagers what they have to do.
A few months ago, there was a meeting in Bamenda where the funds were called to use their traditional right to send away amber, and it was made public.
Was that a mockery to the fund ship in the Northwest? Then you call the fund to come in public and make tradition. Do you know in my village, before you do that kind of traditional right, do you know how the shrine you go to before you do that?
Because we had that debate here on this very forum where I was doubting how a fund will sit in Bamenda and we do traditional right in Bamenda, whereas the Ndamgong and the rest are in the village. So when you come and you dwell more on metaphysical, I think I would like to agree with some people who say that the powers are not as strong as we might think that it is, because many of the funds, they have run away from the villages. They are not more in their villages. So I think that if they were as strong as we claim that they are, they should remain there and fight the Amber Boys metaphysically. But when they run away, they are the first people to run away, meaning that they don't believe in those forces that they have. And the reason why many of them don't believe in those forces that they have, because many of them have joined politics. And when you join politics and you become partial, it automatically destroy your traditional powers. People don't more respect you. And if you look at most of the funds that are still in their policies, those are the funds that are neutral. For example, you see the fund of Ndu is still in his palace. You don't know whether he's a CPDM or he's a SDF or what. He welcomes everybody that comes, the fund of Kambe and the rest. So when the fund that really goes and shows that I belong to this party, I belong to this particular party, it is extremely very difficult for the villagers to protect him. For example, we talk about the Fon of Bambalang. When he was kidnapped, I thought the villagers will all rise up and say, no, they cannot kidnap our Fon, and they take him and go. But why the villagers did not rise up? Because I think the villagers are divided. Because some of the villagers are of the opposition, some are of the ruling government, and so for them now to galvanize and fight for the release of their Fon is something that is difficult. That's why we are saying that being a Fon, you should be neutral, so that when something happens to you, and that is the same thing that has happened to the Fon of Nsok, because many of the Nsok people believe that the Fon now is no more neutral. He has taken side, and so the Almighty Fon of Nsok now is no more regarded as the Almighty, because some people say no, he is not of the government. Some people say no, he is of this, and so it makes it very, very difficult for the villagers to galvanize and come to his rescue when he is in problem. When we talk about the Fon, like Mr. Antimacho is saying, the Fon is, I think, the powers of the Fon lies in the Ngorong, not the Fon himself. It's the Ngorong that holds the powers of the Fon. Not that as you are made a Fon, you are the powers belongs to you. The power belongs to the Ngorong, and the Ngorong decides what can happen in the village. So I think that the funds, the advice I can give most of the funds is that they should stay out of politics, should concentrate on how they can build up their villages and stay out of politics. Because once they go into politics, the village is divided, and when something happens to them, it is extremely very difficult for the villagers to rise and fight for them.
The Ndian 5. We are talking now, this June 15 will make it 2 years. And so Dr. Michael said in war situation, we don't communicate by parazar. So is that an excuse why the public should not be told as to what is happening, our government effort being put to rescue these people who are first citizens of the state, first, second of all, government officials, and third, created in the image and likeness of God, and they are not less of a human being than us?
No, not at all, Mr. Tah Mai. You have to understand, like Dr. Dimancho actually said, of course, yourself, you are a communicator and you understand there are techniques of communication. And in these different techniques of communication, we communicate as per the situation we find ourselves. If it was a flood, there's a way to communicate crisis, catastrophe. If it's a war, there's a way to communicate in a war situation. If it's look at what is going in Ukraine and between Ukraine and Russia, there's a way the communication is going.
It depends.
You see, it depends on the specificity of the crisis or the war or whatever you want to put it. So in this case, the Constitution as enshrined is very, very clear. There's no citizen is above another citizen. So, and it is the place of the state, which is being handled by the government in place to ensure the security of every citizen, whether you're a senator, whether you're a fon, whether you whosoever. So long as you're a citizen of the republic, it is the place of the state to guarantee your security and your safety. So that does not justify actually why they have not been seen so far. But we'll still go back to this situation. Like before you took leave of me, we're talking about the root causes. We don't need to be pouring words here and there anymore. We need to look at the root causes, look for solution to the root causes. I remember one of my friend, Mr. Ndian, Emmanuel Ndian, actually told me this, and why he was saying that no matter how many of these boys come out from the bushes, without solving the root causes of this problem, will still remain the same thing. Because I remember 5 years ago, we used to have General Kwakwa, General Noman, General. There were so many of these generals, and when they were being killed, other generals resurfaced. When they were being killed, another new generals resurfaced. Today, Rambo has left the bushes and he's out. Shino Rambo, he has left the bushes and he's out now. Who is the next general that is going to come up? Of course, probably whosoever. They have so many of these names that are going to come. So we have to go back to solve the root causes. And if the root causes were bad roads, unemployment of the young people, of the youth, if there were marginalization, if there were how do we put it, trying to erase another system, such as maybe the common law system, the educational system and the like, we need to relook into all of them. If the government has actually tackled some of these problems, they have to understand the gravity of the other problems that have not tackled yet. Because when you look at it around, why are most of these young people still going into these things? We talked about it. There are no jobs. Most of these young people, some people may want to say they are very lazy. No, the environment is not conducive enough for them. You go, the CDC is no longer operational. Palmo is dying down.
But in terms of its
magnitude and the like, it's operational. How many of the estates do function? We keep hearing somebody. Most of it, you don't want to say operational in Limbe at the headquarters. You don't want to say operational in Tico, where you have the how many plantations are in Tico? But go around Moyoka, from Moyoka upward and the likes. There are plantations, and these are areas which are being harbored by these young people who call themselves separatists. How do you expect these young people in Malende, in Mokonje, in Eluani to go to work anymore when they know that if I go to work tomorrow, my hands will be cut off, my legs will be cut off? So we need to look at them. And for industries, how many of these industries still employ the young people? Most of them are back there in the quarters, and like somebody said it, the best friend and the only friend that will never leave you is hunger. When they are hungry, they will go back to look for the means. And if the means is to kidnap somebody, they will end. Even some of the youths who did not think about joining the situation some of them contemplated on it. Some of them joined. Some of them are still contemplating. You don't know how many of them may still join as the crisis is going on, because they lack some of these basic necessities. Look for an enabling environment, and you see what they will do. Ensure that you resolve this problem, and CDC goes functional, Pamoy goes functional. You go to the northwest, you create conducive environment, try to look into the farm to market roads. So because these are entrepreneurs, young people. Before the crisis, they were doing good, and they were trying their best to ensure that they don't get into this issue. But this is where we find ourselves today. So tackling when these root causes will actually bring, we look for solutions, we bring some solutions to end this crisis. But if you keep bringing out window dressing solutions, like I say, by going to pay for one person's ransom and the other, what about those who are dying on daily basis? Remember, we lost a young journalist in Bamenda due to this crisis. Before we knew it, do we talk about Wazizi again today? So some of these things are very painful. We need to tackle these problems from their root causes, and the government must stand up straight. And like I said, I still want to reiterate it. We, the young people, are there willing to assist you. Build and Sam, we have been doing a lot. I want to say the local youth corner, they have been doing a lot, and there are still some of these, many of these young, civil society organizations that are made of young people who have been taking a lot of solutions, proposing them. You need to tackle these problems from their root. So if the government look into this and bring in young people, I believe we're going to get lasting solutions to these problems.
Bon dimanche à toi, Eleanor. Bon dimanche à toi, Sophie. Bon dimanche à toi, Misaël. Karel. Bon dimanche à toi, Yolande. Bon dimanche à toi, Fercy. Bon dimanche à toi, Curtis. Bon dimanche à toi, Ghislaine. And bon dimanche à tous les membres du Negro. We are out of time. Dr. Michael Dimancho, we have barely 5 minutes to go, including the concluding statement. So far, where do we go from here as far as the case of the Ndian 5 is concerned? Because we are happy that the Fon of Bambalang has been released. Now our focus now is not on the Ndian 5. Where do we go from here? And what advice will you give the government and the families as far as this is concerned?
I think, as I said, not all hope is not lost until the kidnappers, tell us that it is finished. If we are still on the search or on the wait for the Ndian 5, there are certainly conditions that are to be fulfilled for them to be released. Regina Mundi, Senator, they fulfill those conditions.
They are still firm on the release.
Yes, the Fon of Bambalang fulfilled that condition for the release. And I use the word again, release. Many others who have been released have fulfilled conditions. The government behave like we are for the government and the government is not for us. Let them not give that impression. It means that what? That if you are for the government and something happens to you, it now regards your family. This is what is happening with the Ndian 5. Let me let you know. Let me know that with Senator Mundi, if the family was not well seated, it wouldn't have happened to, she wouldn't have been released.
So it's now more of action personnel.
Action personnel. And therefore, what I think, certainly those people have asked for ransom that the families of the Ndian 5 cannot give. We are in a war economy. And I said, one of the reasons for kidnap is for money. And I don't think those people would ask for money. They will propose their money and then take, because they need that money for their operations. I think that the government should assist the families, get those people released. If the government has the good faith for them to be released and are ready, they will be released. And I pray, government, Yaoundé, please let the Ndian 5 be released. Or at least, let us have a communication. Well, at this point in time, people are using their vocabulary, but I'm still saying that at this time, if it was about rescue, the government would have really rescued. And I'm firm on that for 2 years now. It was about rescue. Because I know the government has goodwill to rescue.
And the government can rescue.
And the government can rescue. Yes. But if up to now, they have not rescued, well, I'm not saying that they may never rescue. But I'm saying that when it goes to this certain stage, for 2 years down the line,
out of time,
they need to be released.
Thank you. Mr. Terence from Tombel, thank you very much for your message. Your message is gotten. This other one says, no pity is not dead. Though I don't know where you are coming from with that. Only you know where you are coming from with that. Those of you who send us SMS, let me just briefly acknowledge you. This one is coming from Jang in Garua, good afternoon. House of Commons politics has destroyed our funds. Jang, your message is gotten. Olivia from Bamenda, happy Sunday to you. Olivia, your message is gotten. To also want to say happy Sunday to all those of you who have been writing to us on the normal SMS. Happy Sunday to you too. Charles from Dub, happy Sunday to you, Charles. We're out of time. Briefly, advice for the government as far as the Ndian 5 is concerned and the family. Briefly, just.
I wish to tell the government that they should hasten negotiations, if at all they are doing any negotiations. But for me, I know that it's extremely very difficult for government to do any negotiations with the separatists, because if government engages in doing negotiations and ransom paying, some people will even stage their own kidnap. So I'm praying that the only thing I can tell the government is that there should be a second inclusive dialogue where all the root cause of our problems will be looked into and the problems will be solved. Thank you.
Thank you. Briefly, we're out of time.
Yeah, thank you. I want to propose this. We need to get young people in the process of a new dialogue. And therefore, thereafter, the government needs to facilitate the funds to reinstate the traditional community in which the Northwest region in particular used to have, and the place of the chiefs in the Southwest region for there to be the original justice system of their people. Thereafter, the government, you need to tackle the root causes, because another problem is coming with the new government in Nigeria. We no longer will have to these young people with fuel in the Northwest region. So, in a nutshell, get young people involved, and we need a lasting dialogue to this problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As one famous Nigerian artist, Two-Face Edibia, put it, the power is nothing if your people cannot have quality education. The power is nothing if your people cannot have good health. The power is nothing if your people cannot have good roads. And so I leave you with that, and that is what matters for today. As I say, no matter the matter, that is what matters. And what matters is that the power is nothing if the people cannot have peace, tranquility, development, and peaceful coexistence. My name is Tah Mai Jarvis on Cameroon's commercial capital, Douala. Thank Gujong Bange. I want to thank Desmond, Akeba, the producer, Alan, and the two gentlemen here in the studio who have been making our time to swap the camera and say happy Sunday to you. And until we meet again, stay blessed. Bye-bye.